Thank you. How are y'all doing? Feeling good. 3 o'clock. Slow down a little bit. I was just joking that I really liked having a hype man to introduce me. Hello everybody. My name is Matt Ström. I'm currently a design lead at Bitly. Before I was at Bitly, I was a design director at the Wall Street Journal. I worked at SoundCloud as well. And today I'm here to talk to you all about accessibility. So just by a show of hands, how many of y'all have seen a talk related to accessibility during the conference so far? Yeah, just a few of you? Good. Cool. So to set the stage, I want to start with just a definition of accessibility so we can all have the same context. Accessibility is designing for people with disabilities. That's the textbook definition. And when we talk about people with disabilities, we usually mean people with congenital and acquired disabilities. This is like I said, this is the textbook definition. So accessibility is designing for people who live with these disabilities. I personally like to expand the definition of disabilities slightly to include people with what I call temporary or situational disabilities. So these can be things that we all experience where, say it's cold out and you're wearing gloves, so you can't use a touch screen interface, or it's really bright, you can't see the screen very well. So these are situations in which you're going to use technology in the same way as people with disabilities. So when I think about accessibility and designing for accessibility, I'm thinking about these people as well. So what I really want to talk about today is why we build accessible products. Through my career, I have been asked this question a lot, and I've had 3 different answers over time. The first answer, the naive one, is because it's the right thing to do. 1 in 8 people in America have a disability. And if we don't design our products to be useful to them, we're absolutely doing them a disservice. It's 12% of people. Unfortunately, doing the right thing is not always the thing that businesses do. So my second answer to why do we build accessible products is because it's the law. Accessibility is a legal requirement if you provide a public service. Websites are a public service. So if you have a website, it needs to be accessible to everybody. More than 2,000 lawsuits have been filed this year against companies because their website was not accessible. And that violates the Americans with Disabilities Act. And that number is 30% larger than it was last year, and it'll probably be much larger next year. I worked for a company, I won't say which one, I actually already have at the beginning of this talk, that was sued because one of their thousands of videos on the website did not have subtitles. So accessibility is the law. Unfortunately, companies don't always do what's legal also. So my third answer is the one that is currently the one I use, and it's the one that so far has resonated with the most employees and employers and people I talk to. And that is, we build accessible products because accessibility benefits everyone. Anybody that uses our products benefits when we build with accessibility in mind. So to illustrate this, I want to walk you through a story about something called the curb cut effect. Curb cuts are the slopes that you see moving from the sidewalk into the streets. You see them everywhere in cities today, they're ubiquitous. But that wasn't always the case. And the reason why we see curb cuts today are largely due to this man. This is Ed Roberts. He was a disability rights activist in the 1970s and 80s, and was instrumental in helping found the kinds of legislation and laws that we have today that protect the rights of people with disabilities. But back in 1962, he was enrolling at school at UC Berkeley At the time, Berkeley did not have any accommodations for people with disabilities. But Roberts fought them and eventually gained admittance to Berkeley. And while he was there, he founded an organization, a group of people called the Rolling Quads. You see, Ed Roberts used a wheelchair and he slept in an iron lung and he needed help to get around. So he and a group of other people who used wheelchairs founded this activist group fighting for more accessible public spaces. And part of that was the curbs in Berkeley were very high and there were no curb cuts. So Roberts and the Rolling Quads would go out and with hammers break down the curb and then with cement mixers create ramps so that they could access the public spaces better. And so after this would happen, other people would find these curb cuts useful as well. And so Berkeley didn't take them out, they left them in. And other cities started copying this pattern, and today we see curb cuts everywhere. They're making public spaces much more accessible to people with disabilities. However, they're also making those spaces more useful to people who don't have disabilities. In fact, a recent study done in Sarasota, Florida showed that 9 out of 10 unencumbered pedestrians, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but 9 out of 10 pedestrians will go out of their way to use a curb cut even if they don't have a disability. So this is a great example of how building for accessibility benefits everybody. If it wasn't for Ed Roberts and the activism that he did, everybody wouldn't get to experience that benefit. So when I'm building digital products and when I'm advocating for accessibility in digital products, I like to talk about digital curb cuts. So this is ways in which the things we build, if we build them with accessibility in mind, can benefit all of our users. One of those examples is subtitles. This is a screenshot from a movie called Train Spotting. Has anybody seen this movie? Did you all watch it with subtitles? Because I definitely did. It's very, very Scottish English, and it's very hard to understand to me. And so I watched it with subtitles. That made the movie more accessible to me, even though I wouldn't put on a tax form that I have a disability. So I watch lots of things with subtitles. It's very helpful. Text-only versions of websites. This is a big one. CNN and NPR both have a text-only version. I've put the links there. You should check it out. Text-only versions are extremely useful to people who access websites with screen readers, people who primarily experience websites through sound. So this is technology that will read the website to you. And so these text-only versions are extremely useful because you can get the news without having to deal with all of the elements on the page that are not text. The benefit is that they don't load images, they don't load JavaScript, they don't load all of the ads. There's no ads on these. They're fantastic experiences, especially if you don't have a great internet connection or you're on your phone. So we all benefit from this experience, which was built largely for people with disabilities. And the last one, I kind of wanted to combine all of those things into an experience that I have almost every day. I live in New York. This is a picture of what my commute looks like, no joke, almost every day. And so I'm on the train and I'm using my phone. And so I get the benefit of websites that were designed with larger buttons. You know, Apple advocates for very large tap targets, which help people with motor disabilities. And I get the benefit of those smaller websites that are primarily text-focused because they load faster on my phone. And I get the benefit of high contrast text if I'm reading outside with the glare. So all of these things combined give me, as somebody who doesn't have a disability, a much greater experience, and it benefits everybody. So when I'm advocating for accessibility and building accessible products, I like to use these examples to illustrate why you're benefiting all of your users. You're not just benefiting the people with disabilities, and that's why it's worth investment. That's why it's worth building this way. So if you want to learn a little bit more about accessibility, I have some links here. I have links to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, which are sort of the legal definition of what is an accessible website. And I also have a case study of the work that I did with the Wall Street Journal to make their websites more accessible. Thank you very much.